Elemental damage, which can be further improved by allocating more skills on your passive trait and ascendancy trait.
Welcome! It's your friendly neighborhood Badger here, and I am back with another video for the 3.13 Echoes of the Atlas and Ritual League release. Now, if you've seen the previous videos, thank you so much. If you haven't, there's a link down below to the playlist where all of these videos are going to be put into. But we are up to now the Elementalist Rework that has been teased. Now, I will put at the front of this video that all of these numbers here are not guaranteed to be in the final release. However, this is a very big indication of what we can expect from Elementalist coming. So, right before we get into it, hit that sub button and hit that little bell if you want to be notified for all of the updates. We've got a bunch of other videos still coming. We've still got the Deadeye Inquisitor video, a video of all the other Ascendancies and their changes, and then the new maps, the new gems, and then the Heist League updates and Harvest updates as well, which is pretty interesting. But let's get into Elementalist. First of all, Elementalist has been changed significantly. The main buffs to Elementalist, and I do say buffs because they are buffs around the board here. The main buffs are that there is not as much conditional damage and area of effect in a bad conditional way through Pendulum of Destruction. There's some other ways, but then also splitting up each of the 3 elemental ailment types into their own ascendancy points, which is absolutely insane. However, we're going to go all the way clockwise from all of the points and look at everything. The first point that we have here is Bastion of Elements. So Bastion of Elements gives you a level 20 Primal Aegis when allocated. So Primal Aegis can take 100 damage per allocated notable passive skill. It has also been said that this is elemental damage, so it blocks elemental damage that you are taking. All other Aegis skills are disabled, so you can't have like Aegises from any of the shields or anything like that. And then on top there, you cannot take reflected elemental damage, which is just, first of all, an amazing buff. But let's talk a little bit more about that 100 damage per allocated notable. Having a look at a standard Elementalist build, right now I'm looking at a Golementalist. And I've actually taken points away. It's not actually level 100. Required level is 83 for this passive skill tree. And on this one, there are 17 notables. So, gaining from that, I can kind of consider that 15 to 20 notables will be in end game builds. So you can pretty much say that there will be 1500 to 2000 damage per allocated notable passive skill tree, which is pretty impressive. It's basically Steel Skin for elements. It's a massive defensive buff, coupled with the cannot take reflected elemental damage. It's huge. Moving on from that, going away from defenses, although, you know, the next nodes are actually still pretty good with defenses, we go to the Golem nodes. So first of all, the Liege of the Primordial has something a little bit different to the normal Primordial or Golem ascendancy points. So Golems are here to stay, don't worry. But Liege of the Primordial gives 25% increased damage per summoned Golem, and then 25% increased effective buffs granted by your Golems. So that's the same, pretty much. But the next one, summoned Golems are resummoned 4 seconds after being killed. Now this is absolutely amazing for builds that don't use Golems as their main source of damage, but want to have a bunch of Golems to keep for the buffs. This is really, really good as just like a single point to take, to have, you know, a few elemental Golems. But they'll always be resummoned when they die. It's absolutely astronomically insane. And obviously you get the +1 max number of summoned Golems there. Now, the differences that we do have here is the first node here gives immunity to elemental damage on your Golems. Now, you do notice that the first node now does not give it. The second node does give it with the Elemancer. The other difference that you do see is you do get an extra 5% increased damage per summoned Golem. Again, the numbers could change, but that's something pretty interesting there. We move on to Elemancer, and we've got the same sort of thing, 35% chance to avoid elemental ailments, an extra Golem, increased effective buff once again per summoned Golem, and the immunity to elements is moved there. So the differences is actually being that you don't actually get 20% increased golem damage per summon golem. So this is actually a nerf to the damage of Golemancer, which is pretty interesting. You don't get the golem damage. As we have a look back here, we don't have any look at golem damage. It's only increased damage per summon golem, but no golem damage per summon golem, which is really interesting. So that's a little bit of a nerf to Golemancer. However, let's move on to, I would say, the biggest part about the Elementalist, which is these 3 nodes down here. So first of all, we'll go, yeah, as I said, we'll look clockwise. We're going to look at shock. So the Shaper of Storms focuses on shocks. Your hits always shock, and all damage with hits can shock. Shocks from your hits always increase damage taken by at least 15%, which is, you know, pretty great. And then, so that means even if you take this node, you have 1 lightning damage in your build. 1 lightning damage, it just means it's a 15% more multiplier, or increase damage multiplier through shock. You then also get 25% more effective lightning elements you inflict with hits if the highest damage type is lightning. So, the lightning elements, what this refers to is shock and sap, I am fairly certain. Shock and sap. So this does apply to the secondary effects that you can get through things like the extra uniques that change your shocks to saps, or you know, your brittle or your scorch and that sort of thing as well, which is pretty interesting. Now the big thing here is, oh yeah, you don't actually even need lightning damage to proc that. It's just basically 15% more damage. Then we move on to Shaper of Winter. Same kind of thing, but with chills. All of your damage with hits can chill. Chills always, chills from your hits always reduce action speed by at least 15%. Slowing enemies by 15% is freaking insane. Then we've got 50% more effect of cold ailments you inflict with hits for which the highest damage type is cold. That's pretty insane for slowing enemies down as well. That really affects your chill. And again, that's 50% more effect of brittle. If we have a quick look at what brittle actually is, brittle PoE. So brittle is giving up to 15% chance to critically strike afflicted enemies. It's absolutely insane. If you're going crit cold, you actually want to be going Elementalist now. Crit cold Elementalist is insane for Shaper of Winter, and going into brittle, a big hit crit cold. I can actually see a crit Glacial Hammer being insane on Elementalist right now. Crazy insane. Moving on, however, we move to Shaper of Flames. So, Shaper of Flames means that your hits always ignite, and all damage with hits can ignite. And you get 25% more damage with ignites you inflict with hits for which the highest damage type is fire. So, something that's really interesting here that was just brought up in chat, something like Earthquake Ignite could be absolutely insane. But it's just basically a really nice focused ignite ascendancy point here. I don't see a world where Elementalist is now, not considered for an ignite build. This is pretty insane. And with some extra things coming in, I can imagine I might even be looking at a Discharge Elementalist with Shaper of Flames to be going into 3.13 for a boss-killing league. This could be absolutely insane. Then moving on, we've got the last 2 points here, which once again, Insanity is the name of the game here. Mastermind of Discord is crazy. Exposure you inflict applies an extra negative 25% to the affected resistance. So that's on top of, say, Wave of Conviction, which already applies, I think it's either 20 or 25% negative. Negative 50% there. And then you get mana per second if you've inflicted exposure recently. It's just going to keep your mana topped off. The last thing is the craziest thing, in my opinion. It is 25, yes, so 50% in, with Wave of Conviction in there. The last thing's the craziest thing, in my opinion. Gain Convergence when you hit a unique enemy no more than once every 8 seconds. So what Convergence is you gain 30% more elemental damage, and it lasts for 4 seconds. So that does kind of rotate through. You can't have that up as you're fighting a unique enemy all the time. But it's basically a 15% more multiplier. If it's happening for half of the time and it's 30% more, basically 15% more multiplier. And then, if you're not attacking unique enemies, you get 60% increased area of effect. That's basically it. It's absolutely insane. I'm basically looking at this right now, and I'm like, I think Discharge Ignite Elementalist is now my League starter. I actually think that it could be absolutely insane. You know, there's a bunch of other things that could be crazy as well. I'm going to leave that with you. That is the Elementalist buffs and nerfs and reworks. There's a lot of crazy interesting thing you can do with this. I think that this Elementalist rework has been jam-packed with buffs. The only nerf that you can see is the Liege of the Primordial and the Elemancer. For your golems, a tiny little bit of a damage nerf, but you get the buff if you're not fully focusing on golems. The last little thing that I would like to mention before we finish is we do actually miss out on Mastermind of Discord. We don't get the increased effect of Herald buffs on you and the reduced mana reservation of Herald skills. This is a nerf to anything that is stacking Heralds, which I think is a little bit tough. We are losing that gameplay aspect, but all of the extra buffs to Elementalists is really being pushed in all of the other aspects. So, thank you so much for watching, everyone. The next video being uploaded is going to be the Inquisitor overview of the rework, which is another absolutely insane rework. And then we're uploading a bunch of other videos. But once again, there is a playlist down below for all of the videos we are uploading today of everything. So thank you so much for watching. I know it's a lot of content to get through, so favorite it, come back to it later, watch it tomorrow, watch it the next day, watch one video a day, do whatever you want. But thank you so much for all of the support. If you want to support me even further, come watch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/thisisbadgergaming. I will see you all there. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, Badger out.